www.youtube.com. The morning sun cast a golden hue over the city as Alex and I made our way to the local luxury mall. It was a bustling Saturday, with the weekend crowd animatedly moving through the wide, gleaming corridors. The air was filled with the mixed scents of designer perfumes and freshly brewed coffee from the cafes dotting the premises. Alex, with his keen eye for detail, observed the vibrant displays and the latest fashion trends showcased in the windows. Despite his youth, he had an old soul that appreciated the beauty in everyday moments. "Mom, look at that display," Alex pointed towards a high-end electronics store, his eyes sparkling with interest. "That's the latest gaming console. Heard it's got some groundbreaking features." I smiled, watching his enthusiasm bubble over. "Maybe we can take a look later. Remember, we're here to find you new school shoes and a birthday gift for Aunt Sarah." He nodded, a grin still plastered on his face. "Deal. But you have to admit, it's pretty cool." Our conversation flowed seamlessly as we navigated through the mall. Despite the opulence that surrounded us, our lives were a testament to hard work and perseverance. I had climbed the ranks to become a successful architect, a journey that taught me the value of dedication and resilience. It was a lesson I hoped to impart to Alex, who had already shown a maturity beyond his years. As we walked past a chic cafe, the aroma of coffee tempted us to take a break. "How about some coffee and cake?" "My treat," I suggested, eager for a moment of respite. "Can't say no to cake," Alex agreed with a laugh, and we settled down at a table by the window, watching the world go by. It was these simple pleasures that I cherished the most, moments of peace amidst our busy lives. Our break was short but sweet, filled with light banter and discussions about everything from architecture to Alex's school projects. He was growing up fast, and I was keen to soak up every moment with him, aware of how precious these times were. Refreshed, we continued our quest, eventually finding the perfect pair of shoes for Alex and a beautiful, handcrafted vase for Aunt Sarah. Our mission accomplished, we were about to head home when fate intervened, bringing an unexpected figure from my past into our path, Mark, my ex-husband. His appearance was a jolt from a life I had long moved on from, a chapter one had closed with no intention of revisiting. Yet here he was, a reminder of what once was. Our day at the mall, filled with laughter and light-hearted moments, had taken an unforeseen turn. But as I stood there, with Alex by my side, I felt an unwavering strength within me. We were a team, and together, we were invincible against the ghosts of the past. The laughter and lightness that had defined our day thus far seemed to freeze in time as we rounded the corner of the mall's lavish interior, coming face to face with a figure from a chapter of my life I had long since turned the page on. Mark, my ex-husband, stood before us, a stark reminder of a past filled with both tenderness and turmoil. The years seemed to have left him largely unchanged, his familiar features bringing a flood of memories I had carefully compartmentalized. Alex's grip on our shopping bags tightened, a silent acknowledgement of the shift in the atmosphere. Mark's eyes locked onto mine, a flicker of surprise passing through them before being quickly masked by a familiar arrogance. "Elizabeth, what a surprise," Mark's voice broke the silence, his tone carrying an undercurrent of derision that was all too familiar. "Shopping for luxuries, I see. Some habits never die." I steadied my voice, refusing to let him see the impact of his words. "Mark, it's been a while." "Yes, we're just enjoying a day out. Alex needed a few things for school." Alex, ever the observer, watched the exchange closely, his earlier joviality replaced by a cautious curiosity. Mark's gaze shifted to Alex, his expression softening momentarily before he addressed me again, his voice louder, almost performative. "Still look poor," he sneered, his words slicing through the pretense of pleasantries. "I make $180,000 a year now, lol." The mall's ambient noise seemed to dull around us, bystanders unwittingly becoming spectators to this unexpected confrontation. I felt a flush of anger at his words, not for their content but for the audacity of his intent to belittle. Alex, sensing the tension, stepped slightly forward, his voice steady but filled with a surprising maturity. "Is that supposed to impress us or something? Money isn't everything, you know." Mark's smugness faltered at Alex's interjection, his eyes darting between us, perhaps searching for a sign of weakness. But he found none. Instead, he found a son standing protectively beside his mother, a united front against unwarranted arrogance. "I'm just stating facts. It's important to know where you stand in life, Elizabeth," Mark replied, attempting to regain his footing in the conversation. I looked at him squarely, my response measured but firm. "Mark, where one stands in life isn't about financial achievements alone. It's about integrity, respect, and how we treat others. Something you might want to ponder." The air between us crackled with unspoken words and histories, a testament to the complexity of human relationships and the paths we choose. Mark, once a significant part of my life, now stood before me as little more than a stranger, his presence a reminder of the growth and resilience that adversity had fostered in Alex and me. As Mark struggled to formulate a response, the moment of awkwardness was palpable. It was clear that the encounter was affecting him in ways he hadn't anticipated. His attempt at superiority had fallen flat, leaving him grappling with the reality of our indifference to his provocations. With a final nod, devoid of any warmth, I steered Alex away, our departure marking the end of an encounter that had briefly resurrected the past. As we walked, I felt a swell of pride for Alex, whose maturity and sense of self had shone brightly against the shadow of Mark's pettiness. Our steps took us further away from Mark, both physically and metaphorically, as we returned to the sanctuary of our shared experiences and forward-looking perspectives. The mall's opulence faded into the background, replaced by a renewed appreciation for the strength and unity that adversity had woven into the fabric of our lives. The encounter with Mark at the mall, rather than subsiding into a brief and uncomfortable memory, escalated into a palpable tension that enveloped us like a thick fog. As we attempted to distance ourselves, Mark's provocations grew more pointed, his need to assert dominance more apparent. "Leaving so soon? I thought architects were supposed to appreciate beauty and sophistication. Or is it just not within your budget?" Mark's voice followed us, tinged with a mocking sneer that echoed off the marble floors. I stopped in my tracks, feeling Alex's hand tighten around mine. Turning to face Mark, I saw in his eyes not just the arrogance, but a flicker of desperation. It was as if our dismissal threatened his very sense of self. "Mark, why do you do this?" I asked, genuinely curious, despite the heat of the moment. "Why is it so important for you to belittle us?" Mark's smirk faltered, replaced by a mask of defensiveness. "I'm not belittling you, Elizabeth. I'm just stating facts. It's not my fault if you can't handle the truth." Alex, who had been a silent observer until now, stepped forward. His voice was calm, but carried an edge of steel. "The truth, as you call it, seems to be nothing more than your opinion. And it's pretty clear that your opinion doesn't matter to us." The bystanders, sensing the drama, began to give us a wide berth, their curious glances adding an unwanted audience to our personal confrontation. Mark's demeanor shifted, a hint of anger seeping through. "Oh, so the kid speaks up now. What do you know about life, huh? You're living in a bubble, protected by your mother." I could feel the anger rising in me, not just at the insult aimed at Alex, but at the dismissive way Mark referred to our lives. Lives he had no part in, no understanding of. "Alex knows more about life and respect than you seem to grasp," I retorted, my voice steady but firm. "We don't live in a bubble, Mark. We face challenges, we overcome them, and we grow. Something you might want to try sometime." Mark scoffed, shaking his head. "You think you're so superior, don't you? Just because you've managed to make a little name for yourself. But at the end of the day, you're nothing without your so-called status." It was then that Alex, usually so reserved and thoughtful, let his frustration bubble to the surface. "And what are you without your money, Mark? Does it make you a better person? Because from where I'm standing, it seems to have done the opposite." The air crackled with the tension of our words, a silent battlefield where egos clashed and wills were tested. It was a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, each of us locked in a stalemate of differing values and perspectives. Finally, Mark let out a bitter laugh, his gaze shifting from me to Alex and back again. You think you've got it all figured out, don't you? Well, enjoy your moral high ground. I'll be enjoying my life in the only way that counts. With that, Mark turned and walked away, his departure leaving a void that was quickly filled by the ambient noise of the mall. Alex and I stood there for a moment longer, processing the encounter, the words exchanged, and the emotions stirred. As we resumed our walk, the tension slowly dissipated, replaced by a sense of quiet strength. We had faced down a ghost from our past and emerged not just unscathed, but stronger. It was a testament to our bond, our values, and the unspoken understanding that, no matter what challenges we faced, we would face them together. The mall around us resumed its bustling activity, the encounter with Mark receding into the background. Yet, it remained a poignant reminder of the journey we had undertaken, the growth we had achieved, and the unbreakable will that defined us both. As Mark's retreating figure melded into the crowd, a veil of silence enveloped Alex and me, a stark contrast to the heated exchange that had just transpired. We stood amidst the hustle and bustle of the luxury mall, its opulence suddenly seeming superficial against the raw confrontation we had experienced. The air around us felt charged, heavy with words unsaid and emotions unexpressed. Alex broke the silence first, his voice reflective. "Mom, was it always like this with him?" I sighed, turning to face him, seeing the maturity in his eyes that belied his years. "Not always, Alex. But differences in values and priorities can create chasms too wide to bridge. Today, you stood up for us, for our values. I couldn't be prouder." He nodded, processing this. "It's just, I don't understand why he felt the need to assert himself in such a way. Does having more money really make him better than us?" This was a teaching moment, one of many we had shared, but this one carried the weight of real-life implications. "Alex, true worth isn't measured in dollars. It's in the content of our character, our actions, and how we treat others. Mark is lost in his metrics of success. We measure ours differently, and that's okay." We resumed walking, the incident with Mark slowly receding into the background as we discussed our own definitions of success and happiness. Our conversation was a balm, soothing the sting of the encounter. As we passed a bookstore, a shared love of ours, I suggested, "How about we pick up that novel you've been wanting? A little treat to brighten the day." Alex's face lit up, the shadow of the confrontation lifting. "Yeah, I'd like that." Inside the bookstore, surrounded by the quiet comfort of books, we allowed ourselves to be transported away from the earlier discord. It was in this sanctuary, amidst the smell of paper and ink, that the true turning tide occurred. The negativity brought on by Mark's words was replaced by the positive affirmation of our own values. While browsing, I noticed Alex deep in thought, thumbing through a book on architecture, my field of work. "Thinking of following in my footsteps?" I teased gently. He looked up, a smile playing on his lips. "Maybe. I mean, buildings are cool, but it's more about creating something lasting, something meaningful, right?" His words echoed the essence of my own philosophy. "Exactly, Alex. It's about impact, contributing something positive to the world. Much more rewarding than any paycheck." We purchased the novel, along with a book on architecture for Alex, a symbol of potential paths and dreams to explore. As we exited the bookstore, the weight of our earlier encounter seemed a distant memory, overshadowed by a renewed sense of purpose and unity. "Mom, do you think Mark will ever understand what we talked about? About what really matters?" Alex asked as we made our way through the mall. I pondered his question, the optimism of youth shining through his concern. "Maybe, Alex, maybe not. People change, but only if they want to. Our focus is on our journey, our growth. Let's concentrate on that, on being the best versions of ourselves." He nodded, a determined glint in his eye. "Yeah. We know what's important. That's all that matters." As we continued through the mall, the echoes of our clash with Mark were now replaced by the echoes of our conversation, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of shared values. The tide had indeed turned, not in dramatic waves, but in the gentle, steadfast current of a deep, unspoken bond between mother and son. This encounter, though challenging, had only served to strengthen our resolve and reaffirm our commitments to each other and to the principles that guided our lives. After our enriching detour into the world of books, Alex and I emerged back into the grand concourse of the mall, the earlier confrontation with Mark now a dim shadow against the brighter backdrop of our shared moment. Our spirits were lifted, buoyed by the simple yet profound connection over literature and life's values. As we made our way towards the exit, Alex, with his newly acquired book under his arm, broke the comfortable silence between us. "You know, Mom, I've been thinking about what happened earlier. It's strange, but I feel lighter somehow." I glanced at him, noting the thoughtful expression on his face. "Lighter? How so?" He shrugged, a small smile dancing on his lips. "Like we faced something ugly and came out the other side not just okay, but better for it. It's weird, but I feel like we've won something today, even if it was just a battle of wits and words." I nodded, understanding his sentiment. "We did win, Alex. Not because we defeated Mark, but because we stood by our values and showed that his words can't touch us. That's a victory in itself." Our conversation was interrupted by the sudden appearance of a familiar figure. It was Mark, once again crossing our path, but this time his approach was hesitant, his demeanor lacking the earlier arrogance. "Elizabeth, Alex. I've been thinking about our encounter," Mark began, clearly struggling to find the right words. "And I wanted to say, I'm sorry. I was out of line." The surprise must have been evident on both our faces, for he quickly added, "I know it doesn't excuse my behavior, but I've been going through some things. I shouldn't have taken it out on you." Alex and I exchanged a brief look, a silent communication that had always served us well. It was a moment of decision, and we both knew it. "Mark, thank you for apologizing," I said, the words feeling both heavy and light at the same time. "We accept your apology. We all have our moments, but it's important to recognize and learn from them." Alex, ever the embodiment of grace, added, "Yeah, everyone deserves a chance to make things right. Just remember, money isn't everything. It's how we treat people that really counts." Mark nodded, a look of genuine appreciation in his eyes. "You're right, Alex. I've got a lot to think about. Thank you for being the bigger people here." With that, he turned and walked away, leaving us standing in a bubble of quiet reflection amidst the bustling crowd. It was a graceful exit, not just for Mark as he retreated into the tapestry of the mall, but for us as well, as we made our way out into the evening light. "Mom, do you think he'll change?" Alex asked, his voice tinged with a hopeful curiosity. "I don't know, Alex. But people can surprise you. Sometimes, all it takes is a moment of reflection to start a change," I replied, feeling a gentle warmth in the cool evening air. As we stepped outside, the mall behind us felt like a world apart, a stage where a brief act of our lives had played out, teaching us about forgiveness, resilience, and the quiet strength of a graceful exit. The drive home was filled with a comfortable silence, a shared contentment in the knowledge that we had navigated the day's challenges with our heads held high and our hearts open. The sunset painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, a beautiful close to a day that had started out like any other but had become a testament to the enduring power of love, respect, and understanding. Alex leaned back in his seat, his earlier contemplation replaced by a peaceful ease. "Today was a good day, Mom." In a weird, roundabout way. I smiled, reaching over to squeeze his hand. "Yes, Alex, it was a very good day indeed." As the car hummed along the road, the city lights twinkling like distant stars against the night sky, Alex and I shared a companionable silence, each lost in thoughts stirred by the day's unexpected journey. The confrontation at the mall, the clash of wills with Mark, and his subsequent apology had woven a complex tapestry of emotions and reflections. Yet, as the distance from those moments grew, so did a sense of clarity and purpose. "Mom?" Alex's voice cut through the quiet, pulling me back from my reverie. "Yes, Alex? Do you think we'll ever have to deal with something like that again?" With Mark, or anyone else who tries to bring us down? I considered his question, the weight of it hanging in the air between us. Alex, life is unpredictable. We might cross paths with Mark again, or we might meet others who challenge our beliefs and values. But remember, it's not the challenges themselves that define us, but how we respond to them. He nodded, absorbing my words. I guess today was a good practice run, then. It showed us we can handle whatever comes our way, as long as we stick together. I smiled at his insight. Exactly. We're a team, you and I. And there's a strength in that, a resilience that can't be easily broken. The conversation shifted then, as we began to talk about the future, about the dreams and goals that lay ahead. Alex spoke of his burgeoning interest in architecture, inspired not just by the books we had purchased but by the deeper understanding of what it meant to create and contribute to the world. I've been thinking, maybe I could join you at the firm one day. Start as an intern, learn the ropes. What do you think? His voice was tentative, seeking approval. The thought warmed my heart. I think that would be wonderful, Alex. There's so much I could teach you, and I know you'd bring a fresh perspective to our projects. Let's explore that idea more when we get home. As we talked, the night deepened, wrapping us in a comfortable darkness that felt like a cocoon, shielding us from the outside world. Our conversation meandered from career paths to more immediate plans, like our upcoming vacation and the projects we wanted to tackle around the house. By the time we pulled into the driveway, a plan had begun to form, a plan not just for the coming weeks, but for the years ahead. It was a plan built on hope, ambition, and the unshakable bond between a mother and her son. Stepping out of the car, we paused for a moment, looking up at the stars that peppered the night sky. It was a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities it held. Mom, it was a lot. But I'm glad we went through it together. Alex's voice was soft, reflective. I wrapped an arm around his shoulders, drawing him close. Me too, Alex. Life is a journey with its ups and downs, but it's the people we share it with that make it worthwhile. We stood there a while longer, basking in the silent beauty of the night, before finally heading inside. The events of the day had tested us, challenged us, but in the end, they had brought us closer, solidifying our resolve to face whatever the future might hold. As I tucked into bed that night, the echoes of our conversations filling my thoughts, I felt a profound sense of peace. We were moving forward, not just as individuals, but as a unit, ready to embrace whatever adventures lay on the horizon. Our journey was far from over, but I knew that together, there was nothing we couldn't face.